Francis Bacon's study after Velázquez's portrait of Pope Innocent X, 1953, shows a distorted, screaming pope, a symbol of authority rendered powerless in a nightmarish void. In Bacon's rendition, the pope's mouth gapes in a silent scream, his voice silenced by enclosing drapes. The scene is grotesque and unsettling, painted in a sinister manner, in cavernous dungeons, afflicted by an emotional outburst and devoid of any authority. This haunting image sets the tone for our exploration, an uneasy journey into the idea that much of what governs our lives isn't as solid as it seems. In fact, everything is made up, the social constructs that control you. Look around you, the money in your pocket, the passport in your drawer, the rules you live by, all are social constructs. A social construct is essentially a concept or category that society invents and collectively agrees to follow. In other words, these ideas that derive their meanings from social and cultural consensus, not from objective natural laws. They exist only in our shared imagination, powerful fictions that we treat as real. From birth, we are immersed in a pre-made world of symbols and rules. We're taught that pieces of paper have value, that certain lines on a map define countries, that certain behaviors are expected of us. These constructs are human creations, products of culture, history, and agreement, yet we often experience them as if they were as immutable as gravity. Sociologists Peter Berger and Thomas Luckman noted that decades ago that once society objectifies its creations, people tend to forget their own authorship of the human world. We come to see our norms and institutions as natural, even facts of nature or divine will, rather than what they truly are, just human-made rules. The process is called reification. It means we can become blind to the reality that we made this all up. To grasp how pervasive social constructs are, consider a few examples of the shared fictions that structure our lives. First is money. These coins and bills or digital numbers in your bank app, they have no inherent value. We collectively imagine that they do. Money is a fictional story, just like nations and gods. Yet this fiction fuels our deepest anxieties and aspirations, and we organize our days and years chasing it. Consider nations. Invisible borders and imagined communities define who is us and them. Countries are not natural formations. They are invented by humans and upheld by shared belief. Nevertheless, people are prepared to kill and die for these ideas. When we forget nations are our own invention, we may begin killing millions of people for an imaginary thing like the honor of the nation. Consider also religion and laws. Entire moral codes and legal systems are built on shared beliefs. Gods, scriptures, and even the rules of a game of football exist only in our imagination, yet they guide behavior, inspire devotion, and can incite conflict. A law has power because we all agree that it does. These examples barely scratch the surface. Race, beauty, success, marriage, time, the list can go on and on. Virtually every complex aspect of human society involves some element of social construction. It's not that these things aren't real in their consequences. It's that their reality comes from belief. They are made up by people. They hand it down from generation to generation until we forget our hand in making them. Social constructs are the invisible rules that constrain and compel our behavior. Because everyone around us treats certain ideas as real and inviolable, we usually do too, often without question. They shape our ambitions, fears, and identities. We internalize them from childhood. You learn quickly what is considered normal, valuable, or forbidden in your own culture. Stray too far outside these unwritten rules, and you'll feel pressure. Anything from strange looks and social exclusions to outright punishment by authorities. In a very real sense, we live inside a matrix of social constructs. We follow laws because we believe in the concept of law and the legitimacy of those who enforce it. We strive for achievements that society has told us are meaningful, a prestigious career, a college degree, a trophy spouse, without always asking if those are inherently meaningful or just made-up markers of success. We might spend years of our lives working to amass money, which, if you really just think about it, is chasing pieces of paper or bytes that we all pretend are valuable. The control comes from consensus. One individual can't easily break free of these constructs because they're upheld by millions of others. They form a colossal, immersive system of collective belief. The system can be suffocating. Recall Bacon's screaming Pope, isolated within the outlines of an abstract cage. Much like we can feel trapped by roles and expectations we never consciously chose. A person might feel forced to suppress their true self to fit societal norms. For instance, hiding one's identities or desires because society wouldn't accept it. In the past, a woman who dreamed of being a scientist or a leader might have been dismissed because the construct of gender at the time denied her that path. The weight of what society deems proper or normal steers countless personal decisions. Even worse, social constructs can make us turn on each other. History is full of examples of persecution and conflict over things that exist mainly in our collective imagination. People have waged wars over gods and holy lands, fought over political ideologies, or discriminated against others because of constructed categories like race and caste. For example, Jerusalem is physically just a city of stone and earth, yet when people imbue it with sacred stories, they will fight bitterly over those fictional meanings, causing very real suffering. The fiction controls them so deeply that it can outweigh even the basic instinct for compassion. Such is the power of a shared idea. Why do we let these made-up things control us, though? Partly because we forget that we made them up. The process of reification means we see our social world as something given, outside of us. It confronts us as something outside ourselves. We come to believe that's just how things are. The hierarchy, the customs, the values, they seem as inevitable as the sunrise. This paradox can be described as man is capable of producing a world that he then experiences as something other than a human product. In that forgetting, we relinquish our power to change things and become prisoners of our own creations. The chains are invisible, made of ideas, but no less effective at binding us. Realizing that everything is made up can be jarring. It's a bit like waking up from a dream and seeing the strings of a puppet show that is daily life. The realization can be unsettling, even frightening, because it throws into question so much of what we take for granted. If money, nations, or morals are not decreed by some natural law or divine force, then what is real? What can we trust? There's a moment of existential dread, like the silent scream of Bacon's Pope, when one confronts illusions start to crumble. Yet there is also liberating truth here. If these constructs were made by people, they can be changed by people. The social world was made by humans, and therefore can be remade by them. This is a powerful insight. It means that injustices baked into our societal systems are not eternal. They can be fought and reformed. It means we are not destined to follow a script handed to us by long-dead ancestors. We can write new scripts. When enough people choose to see a different reality, the old imaginary rules begin to lose their grip. Of course, changing deeply entrenched constructs isn't easy. Challenging what everyone else accepts as real can make you appear crazy, dangerous, or both. Every social reformer or visionary, from those who fought to end slavery and those who pushed for humans' rights, has faced the wrath of those still enthralled to the old stories. But progress happens when the spell of a harmful construct is broken. What once seemed unquestionable can suddenly crumble, revealed as just another story we no longer wish to tell. In our everyday lives, we don't have to be grand revolutionaries to start loosening the control of social constructs. It can begin with awareness. We can ask why more often. Why do I feel like I must do X by the age of 30? Why do we dress this way for work? Who decided this is beautiful or that is taboo? Such questions shine a light on the strings that guide our actions. The goal isn't to reject all social constructs. Many are useful fictions that help us cooperate. After all, we do need shared rules to play a game or run a society. Instead, the goal is to never let the fiction enslave you. We should distinguish between the stories that serve us and those that cause needless suffering. If a construct is harmful, if it demands human pain or stifles our potential, we have the right and responsibility to question it and to change the narrative. Finally, remember that beyond all the made-up layers of the world, there is something real. Our lived experiences, our joys and sorrows, our flesh and blood existence. Suffering is real, even when its cause is fictional. The constructs are powerful because they can channel real human emotions and actions. By recognizing them as constructs, we don't make life meaningless. Rather, we return meaning to human hands. We acknowledge that we are the ones who give the world its significance, and we can choose to give it better significance than we have in the past. As the echoes of the Pope's silent scream fade, we're left with an uneasy empowerment. The walls of the cage become visible, their steel revealed as theater props. The social constructs that control you only have as much power as we all continue to give them. This understanding is both unsettling and invigorating. It asks each of us, now that you see the strings, what will you do? Will you carry on with the play as written, or will you help write a new script? The choice, as it turns out, is one of the few things that isn't made up.